Hello, welcome to Relatively Ordinary. I'm Betsy.
I'm Karl.
How's it going, Karl?
It's going great.
You're very smiley. It's going really great.
It's really great.
Okay, why is it really great?
I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure to bring some good energy
Okay.
because we're recording on Sunday night.
Yes,
That's a tall ask.
it is a tall ask.
But
Usually it's a Monday though. Mondays feel even worse.
yeah, it's better than Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
But it is coming off the holiday weekend,
Yes.
so
Yeah, we had a nice
feeling
Thanksgiving.
relatively refreshed.
Yes, we got good sleep. And I'm staring at our Christmas tree, which
Mm-hmm.
the audience can't see in the video, but it's very cheery. We
Yeah.
got our fake tree up.
We'll do a Christmas episode soon.
Okay.
We'll put the Christmas tree behind us.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah.
Little holiday
And
cheer.
that will be extremely backlit and you can't see our
That's
ugly
okay.
mugs.
You don't have to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of mugs, you got your new birthday mug
My birthday mug.
without stinky tea in it.
Yep.
Oh, last time was rough. Karl, I held it in, but Karl had a stinky concoction in his mug and it got to me.
You are extremely nasally sensitive. Is that how I describe it?
Sure.
You're sensitive to
Smells.
smells.
I should be a sommelier.
Yeah. But like you'd be a weird sommelier because there'd be like, I don't like this one because it smells like pencil shavings.
Hey, it might be true. No one wants to drink that.
I mean, that's one of the flavors that's supposed to be good in a wine. So
Pencil shavings?
Mhm.
What
Yep.
do you know? This is
Dude,
this is
I
this
know
the Karl
way more
bullshit
way more than you ever give me credit for.
about
Look it up.
absolutely nothing important.
Look it up. Pencil shavings is like
I
one
will.
of the scents that sommeliers look for.
Okay.
And you would know if you were a sommelier,
I'm
but you're
not.
not. So
Okay.
you just
All right.
critique the smell of my tea.
Well, I'll put that in my to-do list.
Yes.
Anything else new?
No, nothing new. Just, Thanksgiving was great,
Mm-hmm.
as always. Best holiday
Yes,
ever.
great holiday.
Best day of the year.
It was a good time. We got to see my mom and sister's new house. I got to go to New York City, take our daughter on a special little birthday trip. That was fun and overwhelming. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, better you than me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to New York on Black Friday.
I know that was a mistake, but it was a good time. So, yeah.
Excelente. Well, you've got our main topic for today, so I'm going to warm us up with
I'm
a quick
prepared.
bite
Are you prepared?
question. And my question is, what have you learned so far about being a podcaster?
Ooh, okay. What have I learned? I've learned, I guess it's no surprise that it does take some time to do the uploading, the editing, the posting, blah, blah, blah. I haven't done as much as you, but the little I've done, I know it's time consuming, but I was expecting that because I've had to do video editing for other purposes. I have learned that it takes that practice to feel not awkward having a conversation and knowing it's being recorded and making it sound casual and interesting, or at least what I think is interesting. I've also learned that we're not half bad.
An average of 6 listeners per episode would agree that it is interesting.
I would say I've kind of enjoyed listening back. I'm one of those listeners, but I've enjoyed listening back and it's not terrible, right? We've made some nice progress. The sound quality is better. I think our conversation's interesting. Someone asked us recently, is this the type of conversation we have? And I would say this is us being us, right? I'm not doing a lot of prep. We're just hitting record and, seeing what we make of it. So this is our true authentic selves. But I think what is very different is that I let you finish a thought most of the time before cutting you off. And we are dedicated to not being distracted. So we're behind two closed doors and we have set our schedules up so that we are left alone. But,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the hard part, right? Because I think
the scheduling,
finding the time for us to just have a conversation, a focused conversation for an extended period of time, without being distracted by, the dishes, the laundry, the dog, the kids,
It's kind of like a crappy date night.
Yeah, crappy date night. That
That's what we should have
if
called
we
the
ever have to
podcast.
retitle the podcast, we will retitle it "Crappy
Yeah.
Date Night."
Nice.
Yes.
That's gold.
Um. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
How about you? What'd you learn? Because you got into the technology weeds and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned that first of all, while the access to like immature, recording equipment and the software and the publishing platforms has come a long way, it's still like there is, there's a reason why the professionals do what they do and
Yep.
get paid for it.
Yep.
Because it's not automatic, it's not easy, and there's a lot of like little things
Mm-hmm.
that can, cause issues. And
Yes.
I think what's really impressive is like, and again, I mean, look, we're two people just doing this as a hobby for the hell
Uh-huh.
of it. And there are people who like this is big business and they make money. So
Yeah.
of course they're professional about it, but like to stick to a schedule
Mm-hmm.
and record at consistent times and then do all the promotional stuff, all of the editing, all of the
Mm-hmm.
publishing, and push a podcast out on a regular schedule week after week after week. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. It's not automatic. And
No. Especially when you've got full-time jobs and
yeah.
kids and busy
Well, again, if we
schedules.
were, if we were professionals, we would pay someone else to do that.
Yeah.
But we're not.
No,
So we just
definitely not.
we just let it rip.
We're hacks
Let it rip.
with a
Hacking.
capital H.
We are hacking away over here. But look at this
Yeah.
professional sign. Yeah.
Professional?
Yeah. It's on an old music stand. Um,
It looks
so
good. It
yeah,
looks sweet.
it looks
It's
good.
hard to read, I'm sure, but we'll fix that too.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We're getting
We'll
there.
get there.
Okay, so topic. And I'm kind of excited about this topic because I think I'm going to learn, if I pay attention, I think I'm going to learn a few things and you get to, go off in the deep end a little bit too,
Yes.
because
Love
it's,
that.
it's an area where despite your random, knowledge of things like what Somalis like to smell, this is an area where I truly trust what you know as far as content knowledge. All right, so the topic is artificial intelligence.
Mm-mm.
Are you so excited? Oh my God, you're smiling from ear to ear. Okay, so artificial intelligence has moved from the margins of science fiction, and I still think it's kind of there because I don't know a lot, into the center of everyday life. It shapes the information we see, the tools we use, the systems we rely on, often in ways we don't fully notice or understand. At least that's me, raise my hand. So as AI has become more capable and more embedded in society, the questions we ask about it become increasingly important. So these are just, you know, general questions, not the questions you're answering yet, because I have lots of questions. So some questions like how is it influencing our institutions? What changes are happening in the community? How should each of us think about our roles and how we use and adopt AI or not into our daily lives? So I'm actually going to start on the personal level here, and sort of set the stage. So I'm curious if you could explain in the most basic way how AI technology works. And maybe even before that, just talk a little bit about your background and why you know this information. It's not just you're like, oh, well, I read on Google, but you have some background in this too.
Mhm.
And then explain very simply, for those who, like for my mom, how would you explain how AI works for someone like my mom?
Okay. Well, my background is that I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I took some graduate classes, and for a while, I was very interested in artificial intelligence
Mm-hmm.
back in the early 2000s. So I had taken some um, kind of quasi self directed credits in that area because there was an AI course, but there wasn't a ton of AI courses available. And then I did an understudy with a professor who was doing some interesting work in image recognition technology. And I really there is an alternative universe where I went to like Cal Berkeley
You got your
or
PhD.
Carnegie Mellon and studied AI as a grad student. I think at the end of the day, I'm not I could have done it. It wasn't like I'm more interested in the application of it. I'm fascinated by AI. I probably wouldn't have, you know, been a groundbreaking researcher in the AI world. I likely would have gotten a little antsy in the academic world, and then went to work for a private company and would have enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And I see, certainly when I see the like um, AI researchers who are getting paid like nine figures to join Meta or OpenAI or whatever. Like again, I wouldn't have been. Nobody would have paid me $100 million, but I would have maybe been like the minor league version of that. So probably would have done okay. Not that I'm complaining, but like that would have obviously been a lucrative thing. But more importantly, I just find it fascinating. The technology is incredible. The pursuit of artificial intelligence um, is it's not new. I think AI for most people
Yeah, it feels new.
it feels new because they're really sort of seeing these like consumer facing and end user facing applications of AI that have never been available until the last couple years,
Mhm.
and now are like everywhere and really in our face and sometimes in obnoxious ways.
Yeah.
Um, but the AI as a concept has been around for many decades.
Well, and I'll pause you there because you made me realize something. It was sort of an oh duh, but also like, oh wow, I never really thought about that. But we were talking about Star Wars and robots, and you're like, oh, that was sort of our first ideas of what AI really looks like. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Well,
robots and AI. It never dawned on me. Like
yeah,
you're right. It's sort of the science fiction element that's been
yeah.
around for a long
I think it
time,
was
but
like and he wasn't the first either, but Isaac Asimov, the science fiction writer, was like really big on robots. Like he weaved robots into a lot of his storytelling, and he had this like really interesting advanced ideas about what like an artificial intelligence would be.
mm,
So, I think what's interesting is like talking going back to like what is artificial intelligence. Well, you can make there's a lot of arguments in the AI field of like is an LLM like a chat GPT
mhm.
truly
And please
intelligent?
explain what an LLM is for people.
LLM means large language model,
Mhm.
and large language model is it's an application of artificial intelligence algorithms.
Mhm.
So it's a particular type of application. There are many others that do
Mhm.
have nothing to do with like chatbot type
Yeah.
functionality you
You
get.
talked about image recognition.
Yeah, image
Mhm.
recognition. So I mean, what it boils down to, kind of like go back to we explain like I'm five
No,
type
my
of.
mom's not 5.
Well, it's a if you were
A different
if you were a
generation.
Reddit head, you would understand what that means.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, I'm not a Reddit
yeah.
head.
So explain like I'm five. It's like it gets shortened to ELI 5 on Reddit,
Oh,
and
wow,
it's
your
basically
nerd is coming out,
yeah, no,
folks. Woo.
dude, Reddit's awesome by the way.
No, it is. I use
But
it. I've been using it a
it's
little bit, but
And so explain like I'm five is really just like take a hard concept and explain it in bite-sized chunks so that someone who has no like
yeah.
technical sophisticated understanding can understand it.
Yes,
So
perfect. That's
it
what I
doesn't
want you to do.
literally mean you're talking to a 5-year old. It just
Okay.
is a way of, you know,
Gotcha. Okay.
expressing it. So anyway, explain like I'm my mother-in-law is essentially um if you have like massive amounts of information,
Mhm.
which of course we have the internet,
Yeah.
you have images, whatever,
Mhm.
you can write algorithms, which are just basically software programs,
Mhm.
to um, learn from the massive information that they have
Mhm.
and come to new conclusions that they were not explicitly programmed to make
Mhm.
by combining the learning algorithm with the data set.
Okay.
And so, like a very simple example of this would be like, okay, so we want to have a an AI to recognize if a dog is in a picture.
Mhm.
right? So we can feed it millions of pictures, and some of these pictures have dogs in them, some of them do not have dogs in them. Some of them are very obvious. It's like, this is a picture of a mountain, there's no dogs in it. This is a picture of just a dog with no background. But then other times it's like, okay, well, here's, a farm scene, and there's 30 sheep and one sheepdog, and they all are four-legged mammals, and they all kind of look
Mhm.
similar. How do you differentiate that, right?
Yeah.
So the the magic of these algorithms, of course, it's not magic, it's science, but the amazing thing that you're able to do is you're able to train it, and there's sort of like a series of weights and probabilities that it's using,
Okay, so
um,
it's taking in lots of math and stats.
lots of math,
Okay.
and basically saying, based on all of the examples that I've seen, everything I know about what is a dog, I think there's a dog in this picture.
Okay.
And these methods, like something as simple as that,
Uh-huh.
is like at this point, it's pretty much a solved problem. It's never
Uh-huh.
100%, but I mean, if you've ever done those, like, prove that you're human click around
Oh,
puzzles,
yeah.
like, that it's hard for even a human to get it
Yes.
right 100% of the time.
Yes.
So that's
Are
kind of
those
like,
pretty secure? Sidebar. Is that
they're pretty secure, yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's and because of the prevalence of this type of technology becoming so mainstream, they're very soon to not be very secure.
Yeah,
But
that's what I
essentially,
figured.
it boils down to, like, there's a difference between taking the time to train an algorithm
Mhm.
to recognize a certain thing with a huge data set, which takes, a significant amount of computing power and a significant amount of data. If you're Google, that's like, yeah, we do that all day, every day. But,
Yeah.
for your average,
Gotcha. Okay.
scammer on the internet, that's not necessarily an easy problem to solve.
Okay.
So, but what's really wild about what we're seeing now, and what's really captured people's attention, and when we think about, like, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or these
Yeah.
LLMs, is this is now generative artificial intelligence. So the difference between, I can tell an algorithm, like, do you see a dog in this picture, and
Mhm.
having it with a high degree of confidence say yes or no, but to then go to, okay, now that you know what a dog looks like, create a picture of a dog.
Yeah.
And that is really remarkable. And that's about maybe like 10 to 15 years ago. I was thinking like 2012 was the first time I, like, heard of Google, like, doing image creation,
Uh-huh.
and having it, and it was wild, weird stuff. But, like, they were telling the AI, like, based on what create this image. And now it's gotten to the point where, like, AI is stitching together, like, movies and videos and
Mhm.
audio, and it's incredibly lifelike and bizarre, but fascinating and cool
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Neat. So the prompts or coding needed to do the generative piece of it. Did that just require a lot more data pushed through and processed? Did it require like this feat of coding,
Well,
this
here's
phenomenon?
what's really cool
What
about this.
shifted?
What essentially,
The cost? I don't know.
well, cost is a big thing, right? So
Data centers.
Moore's law is this idea that
Ooh, more
every
nerd. I can't wait.
it's so good. Every 18 months, the processing capacity of semiconductor chips doubles.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is incredible. Like, there's, you think about, like, that rate of something doubling every 18 months. Like, if your bank account doubled every 18 months, like, in a few years, you never have to work again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, like, that has continued. And then,
And this is just people who are engineering it to make it better. I'm
yes,
thinking of like microorganisms doubling and then
yeah. I mean,
quadrupling.
it's like that, right? It's like, you think about, like, how bacteria,
Yeah.
divides itself and
But there are
rapidly.
humans who are working on this
Yeah.
and creating
Yeah.
better.
And it's largely because there's an exceptional amount of money involved in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but because what's really wild about this is that some of these algorithms, some of these ideas for how like a an artificial neural network, right? So I won't go down the rabbit hole of what
Oh,
that
so
means, but
cool.
like
So cool.
basically it's a, it's a type of algorithm, an approach to writing an algorithm or creating software that, mimics the neural network in a brain.
Yes.
Um and so the concept of artificial neural network was like was really invented before anybody even had the concept that like we'd be able to create these massive parallel computers that could actually run it. So it was
Mhm.
more like a mathematical theoretical concept than a
Wow.
practical thing that somebody actually could go do. So some of these like learning algorithms were actually theorized like long before there was any computing power to actually run them.
No
But
kidding.
now that the computing power has reached a point where, you just can create these like not only like incredibly powerful computers because of the chip technology, but you can also wire them together in massive data centers
Mhm.
and and then collate all this data, and there's a conversation for another day about like whether or not it's good or bad that like we have so much data
Oh,
digitized,
we're gonna get to
um
that. We're gonna
and
get to that.
all of so much of human knowledge is digitized, and the way that like your data is not
Mhm.
really yours,
Mhm.
if you use Facebook and these
Mhm.
other
I'm gonna
services.
pause you there because we'll circle back to that. Uh, so that it's really interesting because what you're talking about then makes me really excited because, brain and neuroscience and healthcare, I feel like these two fields are could be very beautifully aligned for good. And
Absolutely.
there are things I don't really think that way, but I could perceive, as we talked about the science fiction, things that people have sort of thought about being a possibility could truly be a possibility. Like
Yeah.
someone who has a brain injury being able to use some sort of artificial intelligence and tools of technology to remap the area of the brain and improve function. Like so cool.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
cool.
Totally.
And then I think of all the sci-fi shows we like to watch, and that's basically how they do medicine in those
Yeah.
shows. It's like, "Oh, put
Well,
this thing on your head and 1 hour later
yeah.
you're all better."
Think about this. Think about this. Like, um, and I'm gonna like make some gross generalizations
You're good
conceptually.
at
So
that.
let me
Okay.
just forgive that for a second. But like, imagine if you had, you know, two people on opposite sides of the world. um they experience like some kind of injury and they lose like use of their legs,
Okay.
and they have to like retrain
Mhm.
their brain
Mhm.
to recover some of their mobility, and and maybe there's technology that helps with that,
Yep.
right? But it's still the rehab effort of like retraining your brain to deal with this injury
Mhm.
is intensely personal. Like you can have doctors and therapists who help you create exercises for you, help you understand how to do it, but ultimately it's you have to put in the work to do it,
Mhm.
right? But if you could tap in like kind of real-time feedback on what that person's going through as they're sort of like retraining their brain to do it,
Yeah.
download that and upload it to this other person as a shortcut so
Yeah.
that they have sort of like it's almost like instantly you're sort of like transplanting some of their brain into the other person's brain
So
to help them kind of regain
Mhm.
that that neuroplasticity, like just the
Yeah.
retraining the brain because somebody else has solved this problem
Yeah. Yeah.
before.
That's wild.
And
So
that's, I'll
wild.
leave it for people like you to
Okay.
figure out how to do it,
No,
but
that's sci-fi right
yeah.
there. Okay. So, still keeping on the personal level, in what ways, and maybe narrow it down because I'm sure you could go on and on about this, but in what ways have you used AI to enhance your daily life? If you want to give concrete examples or just generalities, because I believe you, more than maybe anyone else I know, use it on a regular basis in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, I use ChatGPT regularly. Um,
Can you tell us the name of your
Barb,
special friend?
Barb. Yeah.
Barb.
Yeah, I definitely gave. Barb a name quickly because I just, if I'm going to talk to Barb, and I like to use the voice talk, which
Uh-huh.
is pretty wild. Um,
Yeah, she sounds very friendly to you.
yeah,
Very much more friendly than I am to you.
yeah, yeah. The like infinite patience and infinite like helpfulness sometimes is like annoying. You're like,
Oh, really?
like nobody likes me this much, Barb. Like, come on, but
You're a liar.
yeah. But well, I think what I've experimented with is like how, it's there's a lot of things that like are just interesting. It's like I was trying to read the litmus strips for
Oh,
the
yeah.
the hot tub chemicals, and I'm colorblind, so I
Mhm.
have a hard time with the gradation, especially on the pH.
Mhm.
And I pull out the phone and I say, "Can you read this and tell me where it is on the strip?" And it's better than I am at reading it,
Yeah,
or at
it was
least
better
helps to
than
like,
me, and I'm not colorblind.
yeah. So that's just a very like I will, be walking in the woods and I'll see like a mushroom or a plant that I don't recognize and be like, "Hey, what is this?" And you got to be a little careful because it does make stuff up.
Yeah.
Hallucination is a real thing. But usually if you are persistent and you try to reason with it,
Mhm.
it will get you to, interesting information and answers.
Yeah, and it's learning along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Do you use it for work too?
I do. It's challenging with work sometimes because of it depends on the problem.
Okay.
So I use what I do is I
Judiciously.
it's code generation is amazing. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of like software engineers, and I don't think they're wrong about this, although I think that software engineers also are, have a vested interest in not losing their job to a machine,
Yes.
but they do tend to think that like it writes okay code, but ultimately it's not like as good as a good developer.
Mhm.
Which I think they're correct. But
Mhm.
if you need to solve a small problem and you're not like building, the next like Microsoft Office, you're just writing a small piece of throwaway code.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It
It
does it
makes it
so
more
fast.
accessible to people too. I would say that's true for any profession. With
Yeah.
me teaching, how I may use it in healthcare, I still need to use my brain. It reminds me of that decision tree. I think it was published by UNESCO. Like, are you willing to use wrong information,
Hmm.
right? You basically need it to vet it and you're on the line. If it's low stakes, you're asking about a plant in the woods and you're not going to eat it. It's
Yeah.
not a mushroom. Then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll eat this poisonous mushroom. I'm willing to die. Then go for it. And you've learned something new. And then maybe you take that information and do a little more research to see if it's accurate. But you're liable for how you use that
Yeah.
information, whether it's
Yeah.
personally or professionally. So,
Yeah.
it's an
I
important thing to
I find
remember.
like we have Copilot at work.
Mhm.
And so it is cool that it has access to like public information on the internet, and then it also has access to like the information within our corporate firewall. So it can like synthesize information, and like I'll have it just help. I'm gonna go talk to a client I've never talked to before.
Mhm.
Don't know much about the company. I'll say, write me a 2-page summary of who this partner is, what their what their place in the marketplace is,
Mhm.
how our software might work, and I'll kind of feed it with like, okay, so here's some of the ideas that they have or that I have that might be interesting, and it's really really good at that.
Mhm.
But what I'll also find is that because Copilot has access to like my notes, which is great, but sometimes it will write a research paper that sounds like very authoritative, like, like in 2025, like blah 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 happened. And I'm like, I wrote that. And like those are like my words. And it's like stating it back like this was like, like first of all, like I'm like freaking, Bill Gates or something. But it also is like um sometimes I'm like my notes are just chicken scratch. I'm like as I'm like listening to someone talk, I'm like, oh, this might be interesting, and then it spits it back out like this is like chiseled into stone. So you got to be real
The
careful
10
with that.
Commandments.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've definitely experienced that where this is a little suspect. I have used it though. I find it most beneficial when I feed it information.
Yeah.
So fix this for me, or
Yeah.
hey, using this content, can you create?
Yeah.
It's really good at, I have my small business, so I'll create, a simple spreadsheet for something. So that's been really handy and it just streamlines
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah. And I,
interesting.
I deal with like, I have a lot of coworkers and clients and stuff who are non-native English speakers.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I do sometimes is they'll write an email and it's like just like a blob of text. And it's like, I'll take that and be like, can you put this into bullet points for
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
And
Super handy.
it really does a great job of that, where it's like the information is fine, but it's hard to understand because maybe the person's like, if they're Chinese, they're like using like a Chinese thought and sentence structure, but translating into English, and it
Uh-huh.
comes across, and I'm like, I have a hard time following.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even do things like that. That's where it gets really interesting, is like, I've had times when I've been like, this person is a Chinese speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Can you help me understand what they're trying to say? So even though it's English, I'm having a hard time piecing together like what they're really saying,
Mm-hmm.
and it can help you with that. Like,
The translation
yeah,
piece. Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
It's true. That's awesome. All right, so we're gonna skip over to society questions. So my question on this level is, how is AI currently reshaping major institutions? And maybe we can both contribute to this, but I don't know. As you've read, and you're pretty well read, you've got your finger on the pulse of on of this topic. Related to different sectors. So if we think about education, healthcare, government, and other workforce environments, like where do you think we're going? Do you see it, causing a reduction in jobs? Has that, I mean, I know that's already occurred on some level, but just your wonderings on this.
I mean, I think first of all, most institutions have no freaking clue what they're doing. I mean, and I'm not saying that disparagingly. I just think that's like,
Oh, this is the exciting thing. We should all be doing it
yeah,
like that.
I
Oh, I
think
feel like
there's
that's
like,
happening at work.
if you're a leader of a company, or a university or a hospital or whatever, you're going in front of the board and you're spouting off all kinds of bullshit you don't understand about like AI this and revolutionizing and automating and blah blah blah. And I think there's a small number of people who truly get it and have like a vision. And then I think most people are just like trying to do the thing they've always done, but with AI.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I do think that like, what's exciting but also scary is that I think that like the people who understand how to use the technology, and also understanding that like it's not just one monolithic technology. I think again, like LLMs, chat GPT type thing is like the thing that's most approachable and like captures our imagination. But actually I think a lot of the most interesting things are happening are like in just learning algorithms and in big data situations, and
Mm-hmm.
um all of the opportunities there are to apply machine learning to
Yeah.
a variety of problems to
Well,
make things more efficient.
I see that in healthcare. We talked about our friend who's the radiologist, but that's where there's been leaps and bounds in accuracy in diagnostics with
Sure.
image recognition. We, in healthcare now have the speech to text, and it's doing this job behind the scenes where it's categorizing it and uploading it into a format of documentation. So it's streamlining documentation. We're also seeing that it's we've talked about in one of our podcasts, social determinants of health, but it's taking in this data and it's aligning it with all of the diagnostic information, the test and measures clinicians are assessing and gathering data on, and coming up with a best plan of care based on the mountains of evidence.
Yeah.
We also use this platform at our institution. I think a lot of institutions are doing this, where I used to, for when I did my doctoral studies, like I would pore over all of the search engines and make sure I had my right search terms and go digging in articles and find the next other thing and having to do that every few months so that I had the most up-to-date information. Well, now there's a platform that basically scans all of the peer-reviewed evidence and gives you a summary and lists all the articles that are relevant and gives you a little blurb for each one and will do the citations for you. I mean, countless of
Yeah,
hours saved, and it's a lot more thorough. You still need to vet it, but like, wow.
yeah,
Wow, like that type of stuff. And that to me is the most useful.
yeah,
ChatGPT is helpful and I'm enamored by it, but then these other tools that we're really seeing pop up,
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, well, I think what's interesting about that is, I think back to my first professional job after college. So my first like real job in the workplace.
Mhm.
Um, there were a couple people. They were software architects,
Mm.
and these guys had like they had the nicest offices, and you'd go in their offices and they had like bookshelves of books, and they had like you know I was like working in QA and development,
What's QA?
quality assurance,
Okay.
so it's testing,
Mhm.
and then later I was a developer. But like basically you would get these like tasks and it was just like go write software, do this, right?
Mhm.
But I always want to know why. I want to know what is this little part in a bigger system,
Mhm.
and these guys were the gatekeepers to that. Um, what you're increasingly going to see, and it's happening very rapidly, is like you know I think that power held by people who are like the gatekeepers to critical information is going to rapidly disintegrate. Now, obviously, there's like domains like, you know, still, if you're like a surgeon, like I'm not trusting, Joe Blow down the street just because he's got Chat GPT. Like, still need, there's always going to be,
The skilled person.
the skilled person who does
Well,
that thing. But
it's
like,
the person making the critical decision
yeah.
making.
Well, so like a surgeon thing, right? Like there are surgeons who have, I mean, surgery is like such a fascinating thing because like there are people who have like such like precise specialties where
Oh
like
yeah.
because they do that same surgery literally thousands of
And the
times,
training, they're
and they become
experts.
like maybe one of the only people or the only person in the world who can do that surgery.
Yes.
But if you have AI and you have like the ability for, you think about, it's like again like for one person to earn that level of expertise from their repeated practice, like the only way for the next person to become as proficient at that surgery is to do it 10,000 times just like
Yes.
the person
Mhm.
before him.
Mhm.
If if the AI learns something, if an AI system learns something, it doesn't need to learn it again. It's
No, it's
it's
done.
that knowledge is instantly accessible anywhere in the world that's
Crazy.
connected to that system. So I think you have like this thing. It's like the radiologist thing is like the reality is like if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen very soon where there's no human radiologist who's better than the AI radiologist.
Uh-huh.
Like it probably has already
At
happened.
detection.
Right. It's detection.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But
So
it
a
doesn't
small part of
it
what they do.
doesn't mean that you don't need radiologists. In
Uh-huh.
fact, like what it can mean is that the people who are skilled radiologists like can you know instantly patch a hole over like their one weakness, because certainly everybody probably has like you know I'm really good at this type of reading but I struggle with this type of reading, or like there's a particular bias that you've developed
Mhm.
unconscious or otherwise,
Yeah.
and you miss that one thing every time, and now you're backstopped by this technology and you don't have that
Yes.
weakness,
Yes.
so
Well, and
everybody
it
can get
makes it
stronger.
I think it also may improve accessibility to better, in this case, like better care,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right? So,
yeah. Well, it's and then it's like if you know if you're in a place that is you know has less access to top tier doctors,
mhm.
but you still have access to these expert systems,
Yeah.
then someone who isn't necessarily as skilled or experienced as a doctor, but knows how to use the system well and knows how to interpret the data,
Mhm.
you can lower the skill bar to be very effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where again it can get really exciting, and I think that that's what everyone should be looking at. So I think that the people who know how to use these systems, and it's the thing I tell the kids all the time, is like,
Yes.
you know, you want to either be the person who knows how to build and control the AI, or at least know how to use it,
Mhm.
because everyone else is just going to be a consumer
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So that brings me to the next society level question. What ethical challenges do you think society is most unprepared for as AI becomes more integrated into daily life? And we talked a little bit about privacy and data and security. So there's that realm. And then I'd also like you to touch on some of the ecological considerations, because I know, when we think about the data centers and the amount of resources that takes and how, I get this understanding. And I've asked you this question before, this ethical dilemma about how much strain that puts on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the ethical question that I keep hearing about that I think is really important to address sooner than later is like the idea of synthetic relationships.
What do you mean?
Well, people talk to their AI friend, right?
Mhm.
And did we hear stories about people who treat it like a therapist, or people who treat it like a friend or a romantic partner,
Wait,
confidant?
what?
I mean, these stories are like in the news every day, all day, every
What?
day.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this
So
one of those moments where you think I'm a moron because I don't know this?
well,
I mean, I thought maybe there could be like an
there was a
outlier or
very
two, but
famous,
seriously?
there was a very famous, like what's the word? A very newsworthy
Okay.
story about a tragic story about a child who committed suicide, and
Wow, like it's
they
recent?
had a conversation with ChatGPT. This was in the last few months, and basically had like asked for advice on how to commit suicide,
Oh my
and
gosh.
ChatGPT had obliged,
Oh yeah,
right?
because that's what they do.
Um, and and so yeah, I mean, there are people who have like PhDs in, AI ethics for very good reason, because
Yes.
it's an incredibly deep topic and a
Yes.
pretty important topic.
Well, and hard to enforce.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, there's so the enforcement comes from people who own the algorithms, right?
Mhm.
So um Google, um Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, they've all had high profile incidents of weird shit happening,
Mhm.
unsettling, un uh uncanny weird things on the platforms, right?
Mhm.
And s- generally the ones who are not led by Elon Musk have tried to, at least in the public eye, do the like responsible thing and say, oh, we're gonna, clean up our algorithms, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like, then you have Elon Musk, who like had this was a good one. You probably didn't hear about this, but Grok is the one from X. That's the AI
Yeah.
that's attached to X.
Okay.
Um, they he wants Grok to not be woke, right? And so the users found out that like basically they had tried to weight the algorithm so that everything that came up around Elon Musk made him sound like he was like God's gift to everything. And
Oh.
so people were like, they would ask like, who's the smartest person in the world? And it would say like, well, some people say that Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein, but I think it's Elon Musk. Or they'd be like,
Wow.
who is the like,
Narcissist much?
yeah, yeah. But so then people started to be like, who's the best poop eater in the world? And it was like, well, of course, Elon Musk is the best poop eater in the world. And then somebody was like, who would win a pee drinking competition between Elon Musk and, like Albert Einstein. And it was like, no question, it would be Elon
Elon
Musk.
Musk.
So yeah. Um,
Oh, great.
but
No, I did not hear that,
yeah,
but
but
it
that's
makes me
that.
smile.
I mean, think about like how creepy that is,
Yeah.
where it's like we are entrusting a very, very small number of very, very elite people to, you know, create these massively powerful information systems to provide honest, safe,
Mhm.
beneficial services
Mhm.
when in
Yeah.
fact,
Do
like,
no harm
this
kinda
is,
thing.
very much not the evidence we see, that they're largely just creating these to make themselves wealthy.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's like, yes, Congress should do things. I mean, there was a story in The Economist about synthetic porn.
Oh,
You can use these algorithms and video generators to create porn. You create your own porn,
yeah.
right?
And you were saying
And
recently we have a porn problem.
yeah, I mean, it's
Not we.
we
I
yes,
mean
um,
society.
yeah, yeah, we yeah, the royal we. Um, and so yeah, that's all just scary stuff. And I think that, like, yes, like, we should be creating some laws. Like, there's some really weird stuff that's happened, like the fact that the presidential administration was like the first bill, the first budget bill, the first rev of the budget bill that was written up had language in there that said that states can't write their own laws governing AI. And the defensible argument for that is that, like, you wind up, if every state writes their own laws, then you wind up with this really ugly patchwork of laws that are really hard to enforce.
Mhm.
But the takeaway was essentially the federal government just saying, screw you, like, states can't do this, and we're not going to create any regulation because they've got, like, big tech in their back pocket, right? And
Mhm.
big tech is like calling the shots and being like, no, no, no regulation, no laws, we call the shots. And like, like, those guys cannot be trusted. Like, they're smart people, they do incredible things, they're changing the world, I think, in mostly good ways, but they cannot be trusted to call the shots for society. That is not
No,
okay.
no, that's not okay. There needs
Um,
to be some checks and balances.
so I want to get, I know we got to keep moving, but I want to take it back to the
Yeah, well, I am
ecological thing.
curious. Yeah, the ecological, and I don't know if there's any, debate over data privacy, but that I feel like that ship sailed a long time ago
Yeah,
with
well, the data privacy thing
smartphones
is,
and
yeah, I mean, privacy, like, you know, trademark violations and everything
Mhm.
else, copyright law. It's like, um, you know, that stuff is being erased in real time.
Slippery slope.
Um, but I think with the ecological thing, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's this race to
And
build.
and please explain what for those who don't know, why is it, an ecological disaster?
Well, I think there's there is it's a little bit of an arms race among the big AI companies, and it's really down to like four or five of them, and everyone's trying to build the you know the utility to sort of like the way that, like, for a while nobody used any other browser than Internet Explorer, nobody used any other operating system than Microsoft,
Mhm.
and then nobody used any other search engine other than Google.
Mhm.
Facebook has really kind of dominated social media, right? They beat MySpace and all those other sites.
Mhm.
um that's what these guys are racing to do with AI. They want to be the AI that everybody uses,
Yep.
and one of the ways to do that is just more data, more powerful, more services. And they're just trying to build data centers as fast as possible and dominate the the computing power race.
And what is
And
a data center, if you could
data
describe
center
it?
is just it is a massive warehouse of interconnected computers that provide services. And so when you connect to like Chat GPT, you're not connecting to one computer, you're connecting to a massive um, network of computers.
Mhm.
Um,
And a lot of them are in the Midwest?
they're spread all over the country. Generally, The data centers are, they try to build them in places where land is cheap,
Mm.
you have access to water, you have access to electricity. A lot of these data centers, they take up so much electricity that they're creating their own power plants. Um,
It's
but
crazy.
there is also like what's happening is they're going to places where they're, either people are poor and can't push back,
Mhm.
or the government is just like, the local, state, municipal government, whatever, is like, you know, yeah, sure, just leave, whatever the equivalent of a briefcase of cash is, leave that in the trunk of my car and you can have at it. And
And they're not really creating a lot of jobs once they're
no,
built,
no, I
right?
mean, they're mostly unmanned. They
Yeah.
don't really, there's a lot of construction jobs in building it,
Yeah.
but once it's built,
It's done.
it's done.
So
It's
it's
not
not
like
necessarily
thousands of people are
helping.
going to work there.
Yeah, it's not necessarily helping the
And
local economy.
yeah, they suck up a lot of electricity.
And
They pollute the water.
yeah, I was gonna say
They,
the water.
they have massive like cooling needs. So a lot of times they're taking in water and using that to cool, because all of those
Yeah.
computers are creating a whole bunch of heat and you got to
Yeah.
cool it.
Yeah.
And then they just dump the water out. Um, you know, the the Republican government is trying to roll back as many like regulations on um, environmental protections as possible so that corporations can do stuff like this. And once you destroy an ecosystem, it's incredibly hard to bring it back.
Yeah. Takes
So
decades if it
it's
can be done at all.
yeah, I think it's really disgusting, frankly, what's happening with that.
You seem to be a little optimistic, though, that there maybe it's not in the form of regulations, but the technology to address these concerns would rapidly build
Yeah,
as AI,
I I think
computation
what's
built.
going to happen is I think that we are going to solve the scarcity of energy. I think, like whether it is
This is the quantum.
geothermal or fusion, or just in getting more and more clean energy technology, getting more and more efficient. So I think we're going to get to a point where we're not needing to burn coal. I
Hmm.
mean, already it's like there you can't like mine coal and burn it fast enough to keep up with these data centers. And I think that ultimately is what happens is technologies advance to a point where, in order to keep sustaining that technology that we now are addicted to,
Hmm.
and question for another day of if that's really a good thing or not,
Yeah.
but like it gets to a point where like this is the way the world is going,
Hmm.
and we need to solve the energy production problem to keep going. Like, and Moore's law isn't just about like cramming more transistors on a chip. It's also like all of the things that go into keeping the industrial technological machine going to
Hmm.
make that imperative.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so community level question, and then this is we could go on and on, but we don't have all night, right?
No.
So let's see, like how can local communities, schools, small businesses, local governments prepare for this rapid adoption of AI? Like, what are some things to keep in mind if you were to give some advice to your neighbors and friends?
Um, yeah, I think just be wary, be very, very wary, but don't be afraid.
Okay.
I think, I mean, again, I think the question can be asked of in general of like, is this a good thing? And, would we be better off, um, just like destroying the machines and going back to like the 18th century? Um,
Some might say so.
but so yeah, and some have compelling arguments that that's true, but we're not going back. I mean, this is human trajectory.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
who we are. This is what we do.
Mhm.
And so I think that like you know it's a transformational technology, and electricity was a transformational technology. The steam engine was transformational. The printing press, like language, mathematics,
Automobile.
the automobile, like, and you know, people make the argument, and I tend to fall in this camp that like this is bigger, like this is like fire, like this is,
And
you
that
know,
it's spreading, or it's
no, in terms
oh,
of
like
just
the
being like,
invention.
yeah, like this is like, the invention of agriculture. I mean, this is a truly like, watershed moment in human history. Um, and then there's, the concept of the singularity where human intelligence and machine intelligence merge forevermore. And the prediction that that's going to happen in the next, 20, 30 years.
No kidding.
Um, so I,
This is where you start to creep me out.
yeah. But I think it's like, if you think about, the fact that people were opposed to, the written word,
Mm,
the people were opposed to electricity, people were opposed to, you know, horseless carriages. It's, you know, the technology itself is not evil or wrong.
no,
It's it's
it's
it's
the
what
humans.
it's what can be how it can be applied. But
Yeah.
I think um and in the best case, like the technology itself becomes I think that it will not become something that's hoarded by an elite few. I think the nature of the
It's going to be
technology
universal.
itself will become almost like a utility in the same way that we think about like, you know, a sewer system or electricity or, the internet
Yeah.
coming to our houses
Hmm.
and will be available for everyone to use and has the ability to make life better for everyone on earth.
Yes, I hope so. I think, it brings up the digital divide. I think it will, be adopted and help reduce the digital divide. But yeah, I just don't always think it'll be used for good. Like I've seen
People
technology
are people.
used,
I mean, people do evil things like,
and
you
then
know,
when people, are not as maybe self-aware or know they're being manipulated, it
yeah.
gets tough. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. All right, so Karl, thank you. This was illuminating. I learned a lot of interesting things.
Thank you
So,
for finally asking me about AI.
oh, were you waiting? Episode 11, like boom. So I'm curious, what are you still chewing on about this topic? Or maybe in your daily life on this topic?
Well, we just are not from a society level. We are not focused on the right questions and the right problems right now.
Mm.
And I think so. One of the things that we keep trending back to being socialists here, but one of the things that like some futurists and thinkers who have studied AI and kind of see into the future what they think is coming as a result of AI is it is going to be massively disruptive. It's going to displace a lot of jobs
Yeah.
and it will fundamentally change work, especially when you think about like robotics and the
Hmm.
ability for like, a lot of jobs today. It's like,
It's like robots in warehouses.
yeah,
Amazon
like,
probably has mostly robots in those warehouses doing the job of sorting and lifting and moving,
yeah,
all their
yeah.
packages.
And, so um, what it brings up is that there's a concept of the universal basic income. So it's an idea that like everybody should get paid
Mm-hmm.
just for being a citizen,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
What that means, you can conjecture about, but like essentially, it's kind of socialism, right? It's
Yeah.
like everybody gets paid, but the idea is like there's a lot of people that are going to not have jobs in an economy that is dominated by
Mm-hmm.
AI and robotics.
And you see the
So
wealthier getting wealthiest.
yeah, well, I think that that's certainly, especially right now, is I mean, absolutely. Like though, like again, there's a big thing that's happening with this whole like Republican administration and like the way that tech leaders have cozied up to the Trump administration,
Mhm.
they're just seeing like remove all the regulation, let us do what we want. Some of that is justifiable from a business and innovation standpoint.
Mhm.
I don't believe that we should have too much in regulation. It inhibits innovation, but I also think that there's just a like now is my chance to like permanently entrench myself and my family in the elite
Yeah.
and screw everyone else.
Mhm.
And so what we really need to be thinking about is not so much how do we regulate AI, is how do we take what this is going to do to our society and soften the impact of the disruption it's going to cause, and then, create somewhat of a level playing field for people such that the impact the technology has can be spread in good ways across all of society. How do we take and some of it is like investment. It's like, okay, so OpenAI is creating, they have this they're massively funded. They're creating these massive data centers. Like, can we incentivize OpenAI to invest in like biomedical research, right? So, maybe like there's you know people are still going to use it to create synthetic porn, go nuts, have fun, but like making sure that we're creating good outcomes that are helping people out of this,
Prioritizing those.
Yeah. And I think we're so caught up in like, you know, I mean, the whole thing around like, we can't afford to like pay SNAP benefits and we can't afford to have like immigrants in the country and all that. It's such bullshit. There's so much goddamn money in this
I
country.
know, and there's so much food waste too. Like,
Yeah.
could we use AI to reduce food waste and
Yeah.
also help those who need
Yeah. I mean,
benefits?
could you use technology to create a freaking immigration system that's not totally broken so that you don't have to go deport people brutally,
Yeah.
neighborhood by neighborhood? Absolutely. But
Mhm.
we're not trying that.
No.
Nobody's trying that. Nobody's trying to solve that problem. They're just, fighting over dumb shit. So I think that we're not like, that's what drives me crazy is that like we're in this moment where this is about to tip.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just getting started. The next 10 years are going to be freaking wild.
Mhm.
But like, we are just starting to tip into this like absolute like chaos zone of disruption caused by these technological shifts. And we're not even like looking at where the fires are.
Yeah, innovating to address the biggest
Yeah.
concerns. Huh, interesting. And then what feels relatively ordinary?
People are dumb.
Oh, stop. You just throwing in the towel. That's
No,
it.
well, I mean, it's like, well, the first of all, there's a thing in, like, um, it's like kind of a meme, but it's true. Is like every time a technology is created, like the first use is to like make porn with it. And
What?
so,
Give me another example.
um, I mean, there was an article about it. It was the same article I was reading in the Economist. They were talking about how like the printing press was invented, and then immediately people started to write like body pamphlets, and
Oh, God.
the internet was invented, and then immediately it was used to like share nude photos around. So it just, that's
Yeah, well, that's at the heart of what human nature is, right? We
yeah,
just want to procreate.
yeah,
So,
yeah, and yeah. I mean, and
oh, Lordy.
we want to screw, we want to get rich, we want to protect ourselves.
Yes.
We want to punish people we don't like, and so yeah, I think it that is ultimately what it comes back to is that like we are all still human, and the
Mhm.
technology is going to change things in ways that we just cannot comprehend,
Mhm.
which is scary.
Mhm.
But still, we still need to, we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need shelter, we need to procreate, we
Mhm.
need love and protection and community, and you
We
know,
need Barb.
and we have this technology can be used to make life better in almost every possible way.
Okay. Well, that's
So
good. You do have a belief. There is some hope.
I'm an AI optimist. I am.
Okay. Wow. Is that a term or did you just come up with that?
Yeah, it's a term.
Wow. There's so many nerdy terms I learned.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, you're just
sweet.
like Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah. We're going to have to do this 10 more times to catch you up
No,
on
no.
things.
Okay, okay. The next podcast
Yeah.
is the stuff Betsy doesn't know.
Hmm.
That'd be very long. Well, this was fun. Thanks for a good conversation.
Yeah.
I hope you've
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
I enjoyed ranting.
Yes, you did a nice job.
Well, thank you.
All right, good work.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Okay.
thank you so much for listening. And if, anyone wants to send us some questions, any follow up for our talented Karl and his AI knowledge, we're
I
down
know
for
I
it.
know a little bit. I know a
Know a
little
little
bit.
bit.
But I'm sure
Um,
I'm sure there's experts out there that would cringe if they heard the things I was saying. But
and yeah, but this is just your impression and thoughts on the
yeah,
topic.
I'm
So,
mostly right.
and you're mostly right. That's
Mostly.
all we can
Yeah.
care about, right?
Relatively ordinary and
Yes.
mostly right.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, I'm gonna, stop us there then.
Yeah. Thanks for a crappy date night.
Yeah. Boom.